Hello everyone, Weston Means here with eXp Realty in the San Francisco Bay Area once again for your market update for the month of August 2023. As you can see, I'm in my new studio that I've been building out for my business. It's still a work in progress, so please give me some grace. It's not fully built out yet, but I'm planning to put maybe some soundproof material back here and add some lights and things like that. But this is just kind of like a test run for this studio. First video I'm filming in here since I put all the drapes up and everything on the windows over here. Anyway, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the data. So as always, we're going into the numbers for last month. We're going to do the numbers for July this year. We're looking into Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin County, San Francisco County, San Mateo County, and Santa Clara County. So the data is looking very interesting. There are actually a few counties where the median sale price is above what it was last year. And that's very surprising considering the interest rates are about 2% higher than they were at this time last year. It's crazy. I think really just because the level of homes for sale is so low, the competition per listing is still staying really high. Me working with buyers in the market every day, I've seen lots of the best properties continuing to get multiple offers, even in this market with the elevated interest rates. So it's hard for buyers. It's even harder than it was last year. And we thought last year was going to be, the worst it could be. But buyer competition is continuing to persist. I think a lot of families in the summer were going to look for homes before their kids went back to school. I think that had an effect on some of the buyer competition in the market. Hopefully that subsides after the end of August when a lot of kids start going back to school. But you never know. Actually, there's usually a peak in September. So we'll see what happens this year, but typically buyer demand is going to go down during the holidays, starting after Thanksgiving and actually a little before. So if you're a buyer in the market and you've been waiting around for years or you've been beat out a few times and you still want to get something, I would say that starting during the holidays might be a good time because a lot of buyers go back home, to see their families, maybe back east somewhere during the holidays. And so the buyer competition is usually at a lower level during that time, November, December, even January. So it might be a good idea to keep that in mind. Now, just diving right into the data, Alameda County, we saw a median price of $1.26 million this July. That was decreased 3.4% from June. So it was actually lower than the prices in June, a little surprising. Year to year, it's still down 4.9%. So it's almost 5% lower than last year, which is good. Home sales were down 19% from last year. So there's almost about a fifth less homes being sold than there were last year in Alameda County. Month to month, it was a decrease of 9.2%. So less sales than June. Unsold inventory was at a level of 1.3 months. This is extremely, extremely low. And you're going to see this in all of these counties. Month to month, that was actually an increase of 8.3%. It was a decrease of 43.5% from last year. So way less homes for sale in Alameda County than there were last year. The median time on market was 11 days this July. That was 10% higher than June, but it was 21.4% lower than last July. So it's actually taking 21.4% less time for a listing to sell in Alameda County this year than this time last year. So that means it's that much more competitive. Okay, now let's go to Contra Costa County. So the median price was $900,000 this July. That was a decrease of 3.2% from June. Increase actually of 2.3% from last year. So that means that despite the 2% higher interest rates, prices in Contra Costa County on average are higher than they were last year by 2.3%. That's pretty mind-blowing because buyers are paying way more in interest. Their payments are way higher, and yet the prices are still going upwards. So it's way tougher than it was last year to buy in Contra Costa County. That's not to say that there are some pockets in Contra Costa County where you still may be able to find a good deal, but for the most part, overall, it's more competitive and it's more expensive to buy in Contra Costa County than it was last year, despite the higher interest rates. So home sales were down 18.8% year to year, and from June to July this year, they went down 10.1%. The unsold inventory was at a level of 1.4 months. That's extremely low, indicating a strong seller's market. Month to month, that was an increase of 16.7% from June, and year to year was down 39.1%. So quite a few less homes for sale. Same thing as Alameda County. The median time on market it took for a listing to sell was 12 days. That was an increase of 33.3% from the month before, June, and it was a decrease of 14.3% from last year. So more competitive than last year, but less competitive than June. Same thing with Alameda County. In Marin County, we had a median price of 1.609,500. It's kind of a funny number, but that was the median price. It was a decrease of 6.2% from June, and it is an 8% decrease from last year. So it's actually gone down from June to July, and it's gone down from last July to this July. The competition per listing in Marin County seems to be lower than it was before. But let's look into the other numbers. So home sales were down 10.2% from last year. They were down 17.1% from June. So sales are trending down. Unsold inventory was at a level of 1.7 months. That's more than Alameda or Contra Costa counties. It was an increase of 6.3% from June, and actually it was an increase of 6.3% from last year. So this is the first county where we're seeing actually inventory is higher than it was last year for some reason. Marin County always weird numbers come through Marin County for some reason. The median time it took for a listing to sell on the market was 43 days in Marin County. This is way higher than all of these other counties, except for San Francisco County, because after San Francisco County became so inflated over the pandemic, it has been coming down ever since the rate change happened. A lot of folks moved out of San Francisco. There's talk about tech people possibly moving back into San Francisco in the coming future. We don't know if that's really going to be the case or not just yet. But in general, San Francisco's prices have been coming down. But in Marin, it took 43 days for a listing to sell on the market this July. That was an increase of 7.5% from June, and it was an increase of 26.5% from last year. So this county is not following the same suit as these other counties. It's actually easier to buy a listing in Marin County than it was last year in last year's market. All right, now moving on to San Francisco County. The median price this July was 1.46 million. That is a decrease of 8.5% from June, and it is a decrease of 14.1% from last year. So this is the largest decrease that we're seeing in any of these counties. The median price has gone down 14.1%. So there's quite a bit less competition. The home sales went down year to year 13.4%. This is along the same lines as the other counties. Month to month, that was down 22.5%. Pretty significant there. Unsold inventory was at 2.1 months. This ties out of the 6 counties for the highest amount of inventory. So San Mateo County ties with San Francisco County this July. That was a 5% increase from the month before, June, and a decrease of 4.5% from last year. And the median time it took for a listing to sell on the market was 35 days. This is the second highest amount of days it took for a listing to sell out of these 6 counties, only beat by Marin County, which is kind of a weird one. But 35 days, I mean, that's longer than 30 days. That's like 4 or 5 weeks getting up there. So it took a while for a listing to sell in San Francisco County. It was up 16.7% from June, and it was up 12.9% from last year. It seems like since the rate hike happened, San Francisco County, a lot of people are just not really interested in competing for homes there anymore. The extremely high payments just don't make sense for a lot of people anymore, and so sellers are having to decrease their prices, and they're getting much less than they were in the years before. 2020, 2021, 2022, rates were extremely low and sellers were still getting pretty high prices in San Francisco. Okay, now moving on to San Mateo County. The median price was 1.984 million. This is the highest priced county out of all 6. Typically, that's where it lands. It's right along the same lines as Santa Clara County, but usually San Mateo County beats out Santa Clara County. This is the heart of Silicon Valley. Lots of CEOs and people like that live in that area, so that's what explains the very high prices. This was a decrease of 2.7% from June, so the prices went down a little bit. Year to year, it's actually 1% higher than last year, so that is another surprise again. Despite the 2% higher interest rates, homes have still sold 1% above what they were selling at last year on average. Now, home sales were down 18.6% from last year, and they were down 29.3% from June. So this is the same pattern as a lot of the other counties. Sales have gone down because there's less homes for sale. There's still a lot of buyers, but there's way less homes for sale. Now, unsold inventory was 2.1 months. That's the exact same as San Francisco County, and that was an increase of 40% from June. So actually, the inventory shot up quite a bit from June to July this year in San Mateo County, and it was down 4.5% from last year. Now, the median time it took for a listing to sell on the market is way different from San Francisco County. It took only 11 days, so that's less than 2 weeks. That was an increase of 10% from June to July. So it looks like June was a lot more competitive than July, and it was a decrease of 8.3% from last year. So still more competitive than it was last year. Okay, now Santa Clara County, the median price this July was 1.8 million. That was a decrease of 1.4% from June, and it was an increase of 3.4% from last year. So that's an even bigger jump than San Mateo County. It's gone up 3.4% from last July, despite 2% higher interest rates. Competition in Santa Clara County is still very, very intense. People are still trying to buy homes despite way higher interest rates and way higher monthly payments. So the home sales were down 6.2% from last year, and they're down 23.1% from June. So sales are trending down month to month and year to year in all of these counties. The level of unsold inventory was 1.6 months. That is lower than San Mateo and San Francisco, also lower than Marin, but higher than Alameda County and Contra Costa County. Month to month, that was an increase of 23.1%, and it was a decrease of 38.5% from last year. So the inventory is quite a bit lower than it was last year, but it's actually increased from June to July. And the median time on market, I'm seeing a pattern with Santa Clara County. It's the fastest moving market that we have here in the Bay Area. 8 days it took for a listing to sell. That's a little over 1 week. That was a 0% change from the month before, so exactly the same amount of competition. 42.9% lower than last year. So it's 42.9% harder to compete and win a listing as a buyer in Santa Clara County this July. So I hope these numbers helped you kind of like get an idea of where we're headed in the market. Despite the higher interest rates, competition is still very, very intense, especially in the most highly coveted areas, those being mostly Santa Clara County, also San Mateo County, as always. You know, a lot of people want to move there. And it's also been very competitive in Alameda County and Contra Costa County. The two counties where competition has slowed down a bit are Marin and San Francisco counties. However, those are fairly high-priced counties in comparison to Alameda and Contra Costa. But San Mateo and Santa Clara counties are way higher than all of the counties, and yet they have the highest competition. So that really says a lot. You know, Silicon Valley is still really the epicenter of the tech industry, and competition to find a home there and be close to the office and just be a part of the Silicon Valley environment is still extremely, extremely strong. So that has not changed since the pandemic. Even after remote work, it's still extremely, extremely competitive to live in San Mateo or Santa Clara counties. Now, the lowest price county out of these 6 is Contra Costa, and you know, I think a lot of the folks that are priced out of those higher priced areas like San Mateo, Santa Clara, San Francisco counties, they're moving more towards Contra Costa County because those homes are a lot more accessible. And so a lot of the spillover of people that would have wanted to buy in those higher priced counties are spilling over to Contra Costa County and driving the competition per listing up. So, and you know, while all this is happening, the level of homes for sale going down, the level of inventory being extremely low because of sellers not wanting to sell is definitely not helping the situation. You know, the level of supply is extremely low and the demand is still higher than the level of supply. So we're still seeing bidding wars. I'm still seeing bidding wars here in August, at the end of August. So it's still a competitive market. I think what's going to happen is competition is going to decrease during the holidays. You know, if you want to try to get a good deal, you can maybe wait until the holidays. But if you are motivated and you want to get into a home sooner than later, you can still beat out the competition. It's just going to take a little bit of strategy and preparing and being persistent and all those good things. So if you're motivated to find a home, don't give up. You can still get something. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's anything I can help help you with. I'm always happy to help, especially brand new buyers, first time buyers, understand the market, understand the strategies and techniques that I use to try to get my clients' offers accepted in multiple offer situations. So feel free to comment below or send me a DM or a text or email, and I'll be happy to help. All right, take care, guys.